to do exercise 1 of the lecture 4. That's where we introduce you formally to classes and objects, although you have been using classes and objects up to now quite extensively because C# is an object-oriented language. We explained that the two types of classes that we're going to focus on in this course is the interface classes and entity classes. In this exercise, the focus will be on interface classes. Well, we build interfaces with controls like forms, text boxes, buttons, so on, and these are all examples of classes. And recall that a class is a blueprint, whereas with other words, it gives you the plan of something with properties, data members, methods, and so on, whereas an object is using the blueprint, or you use the blueprint to create an object, which is an instantiation of the class. So you can say that the object belongs to a class. Now, button that you see here is an example of a class, and we are going to create in this exercise new objects of the class button. I've already started creating the interface. You can see here is the button. When we click on this button, we want a new button to be created. Now we use the code to create an object of a class where the name of the object we're going to create is my button. When we run the program, you won't be able to see it because we must first make sure that it is made visible on the form. So we use the controls property of the form. The controls is like a container with all the controls that must appear on the form. Now, if you now execute the program, we're going to see a button with nothing on it. Can you see there's no text value? And if I click on it again, theoretically another button must be created, but it seems as if that's the only one. I'm going to explain now why not. Let's first though change the property of the button and call it my button or whatever you want to call it. So now if I'm going to create it now, that name will appear. Okay, we can also say where it must be. So I'm going to use the property left of the class button. Now if you, I'm going to explain in a minute what it means, and top. Now if we click on top, you see it gets the distance in pixels between the top edge of the control and the top edge of its container's client area. Now what does that mean? Let's go back to the interface. So it means the top of the control, which is the top of the bottom and of the button and the top of the form. So that's distance top, and left is that distance over there. Okay, if I now run the program, you will see the same problem that we had before, but now this is where it's situated. So that is 30 from left, 30 from top, and the name is changed. Again, if I do it over and over again, it will just stay on exactly the same place. So how can we make sure that we see the new ones that we are actually creating? Well, we want to increment the left and top position. So what one can do is to create a variable. So let's call it current left, make it 0, and current top, make it 0. And we are going to, instead of my button left, we are going to increment current left with 20 each time the button is clicked, and so I make current left then equal to the left to current left, and I'm going to top, I'm going to increment with 20, and I'm going to make top each equal to that variable. Okay. So let's just summarize. I've declared 2 new variables and I'm incrementing it. With each click of the button, it must change. So with the first click, it's now 20. For the next click, it will be 40 and so on. Okay, that is the idea. But let's see. There's a small mistake in our code, but I want to explain what is the mistake before. Let's run it to just have a look. Okay, so theoretically, if I click on it again, it must now be in a new position, but it isn't. Okay, why not? The reason for that is we've declared the variable, or we each time we click, we reset the value of current left and current top to 0. That's not the idea. So it stays on 20. It never goes beyond that. So each time you create a new button, it will stay on the same position. So we must take this out of the event handler to make it a global variable and to make sure that each time you click, it doesn't make it 0 again. So now it should work. Let's have a look. So my button, can you see now? Each time you click, it increments the top and the left. And that's how it goes on. All right.